Part 33. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 321. Zhang Cheng tidied up, picked up the watch on the table, and took a look at the time. Help me take care of the rest. Okay. When Zhang Cheng left, the lights in the entire office went out instantly. There was only a little bit of red light flickering. Zhang Cheng came to the garage, drove today's Lamborghini Veneno, and drove out of the underground garage. Arriving on the ground, Zhang Cheng sent another message to Wu Long. Take the guys and come directly to this address. Putting away his cell phone, Zhang Cheng stepped on the accelerator and headed straight to the position Li Dian sent him. On the outskirts of Magic City, in a warehouse. This was a storage warehouse used by Wu Long's underground forces back then, but with the cleansing, this storage warehouse was also abandoned. There is no one guarding here now, and there are no houses or vehicles around. There are also many beers and pre-mixed cocktails in the empty warehouse. Li Dian and his 5 men held pre-mixed cocktails in their hands, guarding the 2 people who were tied to the chairs, and started blowing one bottle after another. This cocktail has no punch. It just has a bit of strawberry flavor. On the chair, a middle-aged man in a suit, with a piece of cloth tied around his mouth, could only make a woo-woo-woo sound. Beside him, there was a bald man. But his body was a little worse, with more than a dozen blood marks etched on his exposed upper body. Brother Li, why do you think a big shot like Mr. Zhang wants to arrest these guys? A scarred man who looked to be in his 40s poked the leg of a middle-aged man in a suit with a steel pipe and asked doubtfully. Li Dian took a sip of wine and said with a smile, these 2 guys must have done something. Either he wants to steal Mr. Jiang's company secrets. Otherwise, do you think a billionaire super rich like Mr. Zhang would care about the lives of these 2 people? Li Dian saw clearly. The big guys don't pay attention to these little characters unless they do something to make the big guys angry. Otherwise, in the eyes of big shots, these people are no different than ants under their shoes. Okay, brothers, just have a few sips. Don't get carried away later and let Brother Long and Mr. Zhang see the joke. Especially don't let these 2 guys get away. Li Dian drank the wine in his hand and threw the bottle on the bald man. It can be said that Li Dian spent a lot of effort to catch this bald man today. Mad, you dare to throw a knife at me. If I hadn't practiced twice back then, I might have fallen into your hands today. Li Dian spat thick phlegm at the man and cursed. The bald man stared angrily. He still hasn't understood why he was targeted by this group of people. Under the careful watch of several people, suddenly, the warehouse door opened, and a loud noise alarmed several people. Li Dian and others were suddenly startled. They clenched their weapons and looked at the door defensively. It wasn't until they saw Zhang Cheng and Wu Long walking in that they relaxed. He quickly walked up to the 2 of them, bowed and said respectfully, Brother Long, Mr. Zhang. Zhang Cheng walked in front and past several people. When he walked up to the 2 tied people and looked at their appearance, Zhang Cheng became curious. Yeah, the man in the suit nodded desperately. Hearing this, Li Dian grinned, picked up a knife, and walked over little by little. The speed I was driving at that time could have knocked her out of shape, but she didn't die. Looking at the young and beautiful girl in the photo, the man in the suit was stunned for a moment, and then his pupils suddenly shrank. Then, Zhang Cheng motioned to Li Dian to take off the strip of cloth from the mouth of the middle-aged man in the suit. In fact, he is not afraid even if he knows it. He also has reasons to ask Longuo to let him go. After he finished speaking, Zhang Cheng smiled and said, You want to know why I arrested you? Seeing Zhang Cheng's eyes narrowed again, the man in the suit said quickly. Grass. This guy is really good at talking. After the strip of cloth on the mouth of the middle-aged man in a suit was torn off, he opened his mouth like a serial cannon and kept telling his grievances. Li Dian, come here and chop off one of his fingers until he is willing to tell the truth. Then he walked to him and sat down, and asked coldly, tell me, who asked you to kill this girl? There are elders and younger children at home, and my daughter is seriously ill. And I'm just an ordinary worker. How can I get so much money? So I agreed to him. Seeing this, Zhang Cheng also took out his newly modified mobile phone from his pocket and directly used the holographic function to project a photo. But I was soft-hearted and didn't hit her to death. Instead, I slowed down. She didn't die. After all, these two are good people, and they won't say anything even if they kill Longuo. The man in the suit struggled for a moment and said dejectedly, I don't know. I only know that the other party gave me 3 million to kill this girl. After Li Dian saw it, he ran over and said with a smile, Mr. Zhang, don't worry, we all do it in places where there are no traces. I guarantee that no one will know. Zhang Chen nodded, very good, not honest. He is still confused. Seeing Li Dian getting closer, the man in the suit struggled desperately and immediately shouted, I said it, I said it. Zhang Chen nodded. Afterwards, the middle-aged man in a suit said a lot of pitiful words, which moved these gangsters. I really can't bear to hurt her. Please, please let me go. He shook his head decisively, I don't know, I don't know. Bosses, I don't know what I did to make you go to such trouble to catch me. Because my daughter has very serious leukemia, and the cost of treatment is more than 1 million. This person should be familiar to you. If you still refuse to say anything after chopping off your fingers, then continue chopping at your feet. Li Dian stopped immediately, slapped him in the face, and mocked, you are so weak-minded. Zhang Chen waved his hand, signaling for them to go down. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 322. At that time, he asked me to drive the truck to hit her, but I thought about it. If I drove the truck, the girl would die. So I could only use my own car to ensure that she would not be killed. Really, everything I said is true, I really saved it. The middle-aged man in suit kept talking. He told her how conscientious she was, how she was forced to hit her because she had a daughter at home who was seriously ill. If you don't do it, your daughter will die. The middle-aged man in a suit was telling Zhang Cheng that I was showing mercy. If I had no mercy, then this girl would really be dead. This is undoubtedly what it means. After listening to his words, Wu Long and his brothers looked at each other. This. Is it silly? Why, did you hit someone else and not die, or was it because of your conscience? The smile on Zhang Cheng's face remained unchanged. Looking at his frightened look, he reached out and gently patted his rough old face. So, I should also thank you for showing mercy and allowing her to survive. Yeah. Zhang Cheng's tone was gentle and his smile was bright. The middle-aged man in a suit swallowed and said dryly, no, I just want to say that I didn't mean to harm her. I really need this money. My daughter really has serious leukemia and must be treated. The middle-aged man in suit is suffering extremely. Now he can only desperately explain what he has done, hoping that these people will find their conscience and let him, a loving father for his daughter, go. However, Zhang Cheng patted his face gently. Finally, under his hopeful gaze, Zhang Cheng suddenly exerted force and slapped him, knocking him unconscious. You mean, you hit someone to save your daughter's life? Then let me ask you, the life of the girl you hit is not her life, right? Zhang Cheng's voice was cold and his eyes flashed coldly. The man in the suit turned around, faced Zhang Cheng's breathtaking gaze, and swallowed, isn't she not dead? I didn't kill her. He didn't feel that he was wrong. He didn't kill her, so she could definitely save her. Moreover, he also plans to surrender. As long as he sees that his daughter's illness is cured, he will surrender and seek leniency. I've done this for myself, isn't it enough? Although the middle-aged man in the suit felt a little guilty, he didn't feel that he was wrong. He knew that this girl was rich at first sight. Her family will definitely spend a lot of money to cure her by then. I am an ordinary person and only have such a precious daughter. If I don't work hard, how can I get the nearly millions of treatment fees? Snapped. After he finished speaking, Zhang Cheng slapped him hard again. This time, he was knocked to the ground directly. Blood and water flowed out. The wailing sound of the middle-aged man in suit echoed throughout the warehouse. Zhang Cheng looked at him lying on the ground, walked over little by little, then stepped on his face and slowly rubbed his face with the sole of his shoe. You have all been practicing good deeds for so long, and you all have families and descendants. Are you really not afraid of getting into bad luck by doing this kind of thing? After listening to this man's words, Li Dian also understood that Zhang Cheng couldn't stand this kind of waste. Li Dian immediately ran over in a hurry. The people here are all Wu Long's cronies, people who accompanied him when he conquered the world. This kind of thing is really not surprising in today's society. He didn't let go until his rough face was bruised and bloody. In the novel, this person was actually cleared by Ye Yu and even hired him as a driver. Zhang Cheng pointed at the two of them and said coldly, I only saw these middle-aged and elderly people looking at each other. Like what he is also a great father. Mr. Zhang, what are your orders? All the ugly things and bad things are known to all these brothers. So there's no need to hide it. I've long wanted to relieve it again. What's going on with you guys? If any of you are not used to it, you can go out and guard first. Damn it! Wu Long smiled bitterly, walked over with a small bag, looked at the brothers present, and said helplessly, Brothers, this is my first time doing surgery in decades. Moreover, there are several craftsmen here who learned to peel skin and light sky lanterns with him, but he is the only one who successfully learned it. Then everyone showed excitement and excited tone. Brother, are you going to take action? Li Dian was stunned for a moment, then looked at Wu Long. Cut off his flesh bit by bit in front of this person. Since this girl is fine, why can't we forgive this great father? These are the things Zhang Cheng hates the most. He keeps saying that I am doing it for her own good, that I am showing mercy, and that I am a good trash. Looking at the middle-aged man in suit who was wailing on the ground with disgust, Zhang Cheng waved to Li Dian. This is the biggest failure of that book. If this matter were posted on the internet, there might be a group of people with a Holy Mother heart who would come out to speak for him. Zhang Cheng looked at him with disgust. You have done something worse than a beast and still have the nerve to beg for forgiveness from others. Zhang Cheng was also numb, so he didn't believe that so-called justice would come to such a beast. Wu Long was slightly startled when he heard what these old brothers said. I have been living in a woman's belly for all these years, and I am afraid that my blood will be worn out. Brother, stop talking nonsense and start quickly, we want to see it. Zhang Cheng decided to use his own justice to punish such people. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 323. I'm older now. Wu Long also began to believe in these things. If this were the case when he was young, he wouldn't even know what it was like. I am too old now. Everyone began to believe in these things, burn incense and worship gods, and donate money to do some charity. I am just afraid that I will go to hell if I die, or I am afraid that I will not live long enough and will not have the impulse of not being afraid of death when I was young. Seeing the reaction of these old brothers, Wu Long grinned and said, Okay, since everyone wants to see it, I won't be polite and let you have another eye satisfaction. Zhang Cheng watched their conversation from the sidelines. He didn't feel anything was wrong about this. After all, Wu Long was originally an underground force. If he was really a kind person, he would be blind. I don't think I'm kind. Nowadays, there are so many plans. In addition to living for oneself, there is also the opportunity to rob others. For this reason, Jiang Cheng also trampled on the bones of many people to get to the top. Okay, don't be nagging and let's get started. Jiang Cheng waved his hand. Then the group of people dragged the two people to a soundproof room set up in a warehouse. After all, the echo in the warehouse is too high to be slaughtered in public here, so they will come to a small room to perform this operation. I came to the small room and turned on a few lights. Jiang Cheng then ordered the group of people to put the middle-aged man in a suit on the stage. Seeing that there was something wrong with the trend, the middle-aged man in the suit struggled desperately and shouted, "What do you want to do? I tell you, you have seriously violated the law by doing this." Li Dian chuckled, "What are you talking about, bitch? Don't you yourself not take the law seriously? Is this starting to talk about us? The double standard is pretty good, not bad, not bad, it looks a bit like a dog." Li Dian said with a smile, but did not delay the movement of his hands, tying him up skillfully. Wu Long also smiled and echoed, "You are an old dog now. Don't struggle. I might make you suffer less. If you talk nonsense, I will not be responsible. Be sensible, bitch. If you really get into trouble, if my eldest brother shakes his hand, you will really suffer." A group of people were making preparations while talking and laughing. What have they not done to these former bloodthirsty gangsters? Basically, except for drugs, rape, and robbery, they are all ruthless people who have seen blood. Each of them survived the chaotic era with a knife, an axe, and a gun. "You bastard, open your eyes and take a good look at me." At this time, one of Wu Long's younger brothers suddenly slapped the bald man on the head, making a loud bang. Jiang Cheng looked over. Oh, he almost forgot about this person. Jiang Cheng raised his hand to stop them from talking. Walking up to the bald head with a ferocious expression, Jiang Cheng looked at his unyielding ferocity and said with a smile, "Do you know what you have committed?" The bald man spat and said viciously, "I haven't done anything wrong. Who the hell knows which one you're talking about?" Hearing his rude tone, Wu Long was about to give him a slap in the face to tell him to be honest, but was stopped by Jiang Cheng. Jiang Cheng took out his mobile phone from his pocket in a hurry. She looked at him and smiled, "Do you know this person here?" The bald man glanced at her and said directly, "Who knows her on horseback?" Jiang Cheng suddenly realized that he had forgotten that this guy had hit the car directly and didn't know anyone. So he turned to the photo of Lu Mengli's mother's car, pointed at it and said, "Then do you know this car?" The bald man suddenly said, "I know you. Isn't this the one I knocked over a few days ago?" "What, who are you, the owner of this car?" "I'm telling you, I'm Wang Hu's subordinate." Jiang Cheng was stunned. "Is it still cold? How did you do it?" Wang Hu's bad writing actually gave him a chance to appear on the scene. Wu Long coughed dryly, "Mr. Zhang, what you told Zhang Hanjian was to handle, it has nothing to do with me." Jiang Cheng. Unimportant. Boom. In the silence, Jiang Cheng kicked bald head on the chest. The huge force directly kicked him several meters away, and several ribs in his chest were broken. The bald man fell to the ground and even the wooden chair was smashed. He fell to the ground and kept coughing up blood. Jiang Cheng rushed over and kicked him again. "You're so cool. You really think being a gangster is great, don't you? You were still eating shit when I was so cruel." Jiang Cheng cursed for the first time and rushed forward, kicking one after another. "You should be honored. This is the first time I have cursed someone in this world." After kicking for a while, Jiang Cheng adjusted the collar of his suit, exhaled a breath, and said calmly, "Okay, tie him up and let him see his fate." Several people recovered from their daze, hurriedly grabbed the dying bald man who had been kicked, and found another stool to tie him up. I poured some water on him to wake him up. Zhang Chen nodded towards Wu Long. Let's get started. Mr. Zhang, do you really want to peel it off? Finally, Wu Long couldn't help but ask, this, life is really hard to do. Wu Long felt that he was a little penetrating, and his life was really penetrating. Especially in this craft, although the severe pain can make people unconscious for a moment, it can also wake them up instantly. Only at the end will he slowly exert himself to death. Wu Long witnessed the scene with his own eyes when he was learning crafts from a master from the Republic of China period. I still remember that at that time, I was a younger brother who slept with the woman of his gang boss. He was caught and raped in bed, and then he directly arranged for someone to come to him once. That scream lasted for more than 20 minutes before it disappeared. Wu Long was a little confused. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 324. Zhang Chen was thoughtful, and then moved back a little. Looking at his movements, several people were stunned for a moment. Li Dian couldn't help but asked, Mr. Zhang, what are you doing? I'm afraid that the blood will rush to my place. You continue, while I watch from a distance, Zhang Chen said matter-of-factly. Li Dian. Wu Long. Ignoring him, Wu Long looked at the middle-aged man in the suit who had already peeled off his clean clothes, sizing him up bit by bit. The man in the suit was a little embarrassed by him. He couldn't help but said, Bosses, I really didn't do anything bad, you don't have to treat me like this, right? Listening to their conversation, the man in the suit already understood. These people want to use themselves for human experiments. He doesn't want to die. He just wants the police to come now. Even if they take him away, it is better than being surrounded by these perverts holding knives and watching. Zhang Chen said impatiently, you can do whatever you want, I just want to see it. It doesn't matter how it turns out. Wu Long grinned. That would be easy. With that said, Wu Long found the right place and inserted the knife directly. Ah! In an instant, screams appeared directly from the mouth of the middle-aged man in the suit. Then another gasp. It hurts, it hurts. Boss, I was wrong. I shouldn't have hit that girl. Please spare my life. I have an old man above me and a young man below me. I can't die. Li Dian sneered from the side, can't die. What the hell did you do with the 3 million you took? Have you finished prostitution for you? 3 million, even for someone who earns more than 10,000 yuan a month. It also takes close to 30 years to earn it. This money is put in the bank, even if it is a simple financial product, it is enough to make money and support his family's future life. Now come and cry miserably, you are so mean. I looked innocent before, I was right, I was doing it for my daughter, now I admit that I was wrong. Wu Long held the knife in his hand and drew upwards little by little. Suddenly, blood beads appeared one by one along the route he passed quickly, and then began to flow down. Within a few minutes, the entire small bed was stained red. The middle-aged man in a suit was in no mood to talk at the moment. His mind was occupied by severe pain and he couldn't think at all. I just know it hurts. As time went by, Wu Long also gradually found some touch. The movements of the hands are also getting faster and faster. Arms, legs, belly. Every place has traces of his passing, and there is no omission. They are all the best places to start. Seeing the middle-aged man in a suit that had been dyed red, Wu Long couldn't help but said, Old donkey, get out of the way, I'll do it myself. This scene is very bloody. Zhang Chen is not targeting anyone, but targeting everyone. Just because they don't give themselves the money to take a chance. Another full 2 hours passed before Wu Long finally finished. However, no one felt uncomfortable, but rather excited. At this time, the bald man's eyes no longer had any rebelliousness, but only deep fear. For example, the history of bald people is even more disgusting, stealing chickens and dogs, stealing money from grandparents, and stealing chickens, ducks, and pigs from sellers. Of course, I don't think life is precious either. In fact, it's normal. Wang Hu was supported by Song Cheng. Even Wu Long was disdainful, but since he was following him, of course he would not show such emotions to them, which would only arouse everyone's dissatisfaction. At this time, Li Dian had also come to the bald head, patted his bald head and asked. Wang Hu is another person who can only show off his strength. Compared with these veteran big guys, Wang Hu is still very young. Even if he followed Wang Hu, he had only filled cement to sink the river. He had never done this before. These people are demons. Zhang Cheng curled his lips and said nothing. Did you ever think about these things when you killed someone? Because in my eyes, your life is really worthless. Wu Long turned his head and smiled at Zhang Cheng. It's quite weak. It only lasted 20 minutes. In the end, the matter was exposed, and Bald Head has been on the run, fleeing to the devil's capital and becoming a desperado. Now, he could only express his fear with his eyes. Zhang Cheng had blocked his mouth earlier because he thought he was too noisy. Where have you seen it with your own eyes? Only then did Zhang Cheng look at him and said calmly, after you receive the money, you have to deal with a person's life. It seems that in your eyes, other people's lives are just a tool to make money. Looking at his masterpiece, Wu Long felt slightly satisfied. Of course, it's the same for everyone. At that time, he was addicted to drugs and lost money. When he came back, he beat his grandparents to death. But a few people didn't treat him as a human being at all. This kind of person said he was cruel, but in fact he was not a coward. He has never seen such a cruel person. After all, Zhang Cheng had only seen the scene in novels. Mr. Zhang, what should this person do? Putting down the props in his hands, Wu Long breathed a sigh of relief, and the whole small room was filled with a strong and pungent smell. So, I don't think you think life is precious. Just the whole person was splashed. After watching the whole process, Zhang Cheng only felt a little numb and panicked, but the abnormal feeling in his heart quickly made him recover. When Zhang Cheng said the last words, his whole person was full of disdain. He was disdainful from the bottom of his heart for a gangster like him. Even Zhang Cheng was inexplicably excited at this moment, but still a little unnatural. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 325. Ken. Aren't all desperados equally afraid of death? When he witnessed a person's fate with his own eyes, it was the fate he would face later. This desperate was completely panicked. Terrified. I finally know how fragile life is. But what's the use? This does not mean that the evil he has done can be washed away. They killed their relatives, raped and robbed. Rape, murder, arson, etc. This bald man has done all these things, and he is also a skilled habitual criminal. Zhang Cheng didn't expect these people to really repent. Useless. The best way to deal with this group of people is send them to see the King of Hell. Let them confess to the King of Hell. Zhang Chengdu didn't want to see this bald man again, so he waved his hand with a lack of interest. Just do it, you can see for yourselves what methods of lighting sky lanterns can be used. After saying that, Zhang Cheng went out directly. One glance at some things is enough. Zhang Cheng has no interest in reading what Wu Long and the others will do next. After walking out, Zhang Cheng closed the door and listened to the last roar. Zhang Cheng took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, took one out and lit it. This was also the first time he smoked in more than a month. This time, he smoked with a complicated meaning. Smoke filled the air, and faint screams could be heard from inside. Zhang Cheng also understood that Wu Long and the others were opening the ladle for him, using ancient craftsmanship. Make a hole in the top. Pour in the fuel prepared in advance. Then light it. Finally died in extreme pain. This is one of the sky lanterns. There are several other types that are more troublesome, and in order to simplify things, they are going to deal with them in a more convenient way. After smoking a cigarette, Zhang Cheng opened the door and walked in. By this time, Baldhead had lost his voice. Only the firelight was flickering on the top. One can imagine the pain he experienced. Zhang Cheng said calmly, "Okay, go prepare a big bucket and fill it with water. Wait until everything is ready." Li Dian looked at a large bucket full of clean water and couldn't help but wonder, "Mr. Zhang, why do you want clean water?" Put everyone in. Zhang Cheng did not answer, but ordered. Several people did so and threw them directly into the vat. Clear water is instantly contaminated. Zhang Cheng looked at the objects inside, stunned, and then opened the system in his mind. Go directly to the system mall and find a product that was refreshed today to redeem it. Ding. Villain value -1000. Zhang Cheng took out a bottle made of unknown properties, which contained a transparent liquid. Opening the lid, Zhang Cheng dropped in a drop. Sizzle. Zhang Cheng took out a Bluetooth headset from the storage compartment of the car and put it on. Zhang Cheng put the plug back in, then installed it, and said to them, "You two, please dry your body first, and then clean up all the traces of today. Corpse water." Then, under the horrified eyes of several people, the contents of the iron barrel were instantly corroded. The moment the transparent liquid dripped in, Zhang Cheng took 2 steps back. He had to make sure there was nothing wrong with this. Although he is not afraid of trouble, one less thing is better than one more thing. Wu Long and his brothers were all shocked and fearful. Zhang Cheng changed into a pair of shoes and came to the restaurant. Where do you need to be in the kitchen? I told you, I can just cook. This bucket of water will be restored in 2 hours. Zhang Cheng drove the car seriously and said lightly, "Delete all my route records, as well as the records of Wu Long, Li Dian and others in the traffic video." I suddenly felt a little nauseous. Instant corrosion. After leaving, Zhang Cheng drove the car towards the Magic City area while enjoying the cool breeze. It was already 9 o'clock in the evening. Zhang Cheng nodded and left. The person Zhang Cheng wanted to accompany today was Su Yao, so he drove directly to Su Yao's small villa. Returned to the Magic City area. Then, they began to clean every corner of the small room. Looking at the 4 dishes and 1 soup on the table, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. After returning to the villa, Su Yao has come back. Turning on the power, Zhang Cheng heard a familiar voice, "Hello master, the system is at your service." Wu Long and others came back to their senses and nodded repeatedly, "Yes." After making sure that there were no abnormalities anywhere, he brought the water pipe in again, and after carefully washing the small room, he squatted here and waited for 2 hours. And also cooked a table full of meals. What is this? Especially when he saw the braised lion's head, which was as black as carbon, Zhang Cheng thought of the black color left behind by the burning wax inside the bald ladle. So strong. It melts directly and saves me the trouble of having to sail the boat to the sea to sink it. Wu Long and the others stood in a room full of pungent smell. You looked at each other and I looked at you. In the end, Wu Long could only say, "Find a lid and cover this thing." Wu Long glanced at the bubbling water in the bucket with some fear. It seemed as if everything that happened here had nothing to do with him. In almost 10 seconds, the contents inside had been completely corroded, with no residue left, only bubbling water. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 326. Su Yao's soft face showed a gentle smile. She said softly, "That won't work. Girls have to learn how to cook. Although my cooking skills are still far behind yours, I don't want to be someone who knows nothing. I also want to cook you a serious meal. Sit down quickly and try the food I cook. How do you like it? After saying that, Su Yao looked at Zhang Cheng expectantly. Seeing Su Yao's twinkling expectations, Zhang Cheng sighed in his heart, what a sin. But there was no choice. The pond owner couldn't say anything bad about the fish, so he could only sit down, pick up a pair of chopsticks, and look at the 4 dishes and 1 soup in front of him with nowhere to start. He pointed at a plate of burnt black strips with his chopsticks and asked, what is this? Su Yao took a look and said, fish-flavored eggplant. The corners of Zhang Cheng's mouth twitched more obviously, and he changed another plate and asked, what about this one? Sweet and sour pork ribs. Zhang Cheng. Sister, your sweet and sour pork ribs are so unique. There is almost no meat visible in each piece of ribs. At most, it is a little soy sauce color and has some juice. Zhang Chengdu couldn't tell what the juice in the plate was. Is it all soy sauce? Or is it all vinegar? Sighing, Zhang Cheng really didn't know how to take off his chopsticks. However, he still picked up a piece of normal-looking fried cabbage and put it into the bowl. Hiss, after Zhang Cheng took a hard bite, he suddenly bared his teeth. How did you make this cabbage? Su Yao looked puzzled at his reaction and said, jealous cabbage. Zhang Cheng put down his chopsticks. Looking solemnly at Su Yao's big innocent eyes, she said softly, Yao don't come in the kitchen anymore. Why? Su Yao was a little depressed, thinking that she had done something bad. Zhang Cheng said seriously, because I want to cook for you every day, and you can't touch everything in the kitchen. Of course, hot milk is fine. Because Su Yao can't go wrong with only hot milk. You are my baby. I don't want you to enter the kitchen for me. It's hard enough for you to manage a group every day. There is no need to be busy for me anymore. Don't say you want to cook for me, because you're afraid it will be hard for me. Yao let me tell you, I'm not afraid of hard work, I'm happy to cook for you. As long as you have this heart, I will be happy. After saying that, Zhang Cheng looked at her seriously and said solemnly, Yao promise me you won't go into the kitchen to cook again, okay? Still a little unwilling. If you tell me which website Grandma Pig is from, I promise to buy the copyright of this company's food column and delete all cooking tutorial videos in the future. While Su Yao was eating, she analyzed the gap between her cooking skills and Zhang Cheng's. Su Yao looked at the delicious dishes, couldn't wait to pick up a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs, and immediately exclaimed, well, it's delicious. The knife skills instantly became as skillful as a master's. It's delicious. I feel that my cooking skills are still a little behind compared to yours. If yours is 100%, I should have just passed it now. Su Yao's face turned red and she whispered, Zhang Cheng, I want a child. Why don't you let me do it? He even wasted a fortune and directly upgraded his cooking skills to the full level. Outside the door, Zhang Cheng kissed Su Yao and said with a smile, are you coming tonight? P.S. The 5th update has been delivered. Please give me a gift. Please remind me to update. Thank you to the user 11695007 brother who rewarded 2 character summoning symbols yesterday. Thank you. Please give me a gift and please remind me to update. It's obvious that I'm very comfortable cooking by myself, and it tastes pretty good too. No, if I am 100%, your cooking skills should be minus 100%. Hearing his words, Su Yao had to sigh, okay. Su Yao is a little confused. Give me a chance to show off. I just want to cook for you. Watching you eat the food I cook makes me happy every day. Don't come to the kitchen again. No. You do not want. After saying that, Zhang Cheng took out a variety of ingredients from the huge custom-made refrigerator. An hour and a half later, at almost 11 o'clock, Zhang Cheng finally finished cooking 4 dishes and 1 soup. Seeing that he agreed, Zhang Cheng immediately took these things and poured them into the kitchen trash can. Zhang Cheng added in his mind. Hearing these words, Zhang Cheng was shocked. He didn't dare to say this, otherwise Yuer would be in a bad mood. As the pond owner, he must take good care of the fish's emotions and not make the fish feel unhappy, otherwise it will be his dereliction of duty as the pond owner. The kitchen knife collided with the cutting board, making a dang 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 sound, regular and neat. But, I made it after watching cooking tutorials. I think I can cook too, and I quite enjoy the process of cooking. If it's delicious, eat more, and don't restrain yourself. Zhang Cheng shouted in his heart. The kitchen is my territory. I can only cook for you here, and you can't let me do it. After finishing the meal, Zhang Cheng began to coax Su Yao to walk to the second floor. Looking at her eating posture, Zhang Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. What kind of wicked food tutorial allowed a beautiful girl like Su Yao to enter the kitchen? Su Yao was about to speak, but was interrupted by his natural words, "I'll do it tonight. I'm afraid that if I eat your food, I won't be interested in anyone else's food in the future." Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 327. Zhang Cheng looked at her in disbelief. Looking at her serious face, Zhang Cheng's Adam's apple rolled, and Nana asked, "Are you serious?" Su Yao nodded without hesitation, "Yeah. I have thought about it. In a year or 2, I will be past the best age to have children. While I still have the ability, I want to have a child with you." Su Yao is actually not young anymore. Moreover, she also wanted to live for herself once more and no longer wanted to be controlled by her family. Ever since she met Zhang Cheng, she decided to leave her life to Zhang Cheng because Zhang Cheng had no ability before. It was still bankrupt at that time. His identity has not been revealed yet, so Su Yao can only keep this idea deep in her heart. Because, a family like the Qinyi family is really terrifying. She was worried that if she and Zhang Cheng were inexplicably together and gave birth to a child, her grandfather would definitely kidnap her to death in the Su family. She has an aura of unswerving loyalty. I will definitely consider everything from Zhang Cheng's perspective based on rationality. There is no need to worry now, Zhang Cheng's identity has completely overwhelmed the so-called billionaire family. Maybe my family will be so excited that I can be with Zhang Cheng. As for the company, it is completely possible to let parents in the United States come back to manage it. Zhang Cheng met her gaze, looked at it for a long time, and said slowly, "Do you really want it?" It's not that he doesn't want it, but he is not sure what his fate will be. What about after completing the 4 book plots? Will he return to reality, or will he travel to other worlds? He wasn't sure either. This is why Zhang Cheng has always controlled himself, not daring to let these become shackles. Su Yao just looked at him without speaking, but her eyes had revealed her thoughts. Zhang Cheng was silent. "Good. Give me 2 months, and I will give you a complete and grand wedding then." When Zhang Cheng said this, his whole temperament changed. Now that the decision has been made, even Su Yao is more determined than herself, so she has nothing to be afraid of. 2 months to get everything done. Force the world to bow its head. Acknowledge your status as the best in the world. This is Zhang Cheng's goal before this year's New Year, to let the world know that he is not just a company engaged in new energy. Seeing Zhang Cheng agreed, Su Yao felt happy. Zhang Cheng looked at her, grinned and said, "Now that we've decided, let's do it now." It was too late. I'm going to see Lu Mengli tomorrow morning, and after work, I'm going to see Lin Qingjian in the afternoon. Zhang Cheng has now begun to practice time management skills. There can't be any mistakes in this kind of thing. Su Yao's perfect face instantly blushed. This was a feature that appeared every time she came into contact with Zhang Cheng. Su Yao made a nasal sound, which was too small to be heard. Zhang Cheng is a shark that he conquers with his strength. All in all, Zhang Cheng's fish pond is almost filled with sharks. No fish is kind. Looking at Su Yao's appearance, even after being with her for so long, Zhang Cheng never gets tired of it. She is still so beautiful. So tempting. Carrying Su Yao to the room on the second floor of the villa. Without saying anything, Zhang Cheng took her to the suite to take a shower. P.S. This is the first update today. I have to catch a flight to go home for the new year. If I have enough time and don't need to do any isolation tests when I go back, I may update it later. I haven't been home for the new year in 2 years. After looking at Su Yao tenderly for a long time, Zhang Cheng picked up his clothes, went to the next room to take a bath, made a simple breakfast porridge and kept it warm, and then Zhang Cheng left. Looking at Su Yao on the bed, Zhang Cheng sighed, I hope it's the right choice this time. He doesn't want to have any regrets. Half an hour later, they came out of the bathroom and returned to the room. It was 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. It is estimated that Lu Mengli will be able to start recovery treatment in another half-month. Not long after, the sound of running water and unsuppressed gasps came from the bathroom. I think LSP readers will understand, right? Who are you? I am just afraid that the system will let me leave this world and be separated from them. How could it be possible? It took almost 2 hours. The breathing speeds up slightly, and the rosy color on both sides of Su Yao's cheeks is obvious. Can't bear to leave them. Taking breakfast and the daily bouquet of carnations, Zhang Cheng came to Lu Mengli's ward. Zhang Cheng had restrained himself for so long and chose to challenge 4 dungeons in this world just because he didn't want to give up. Zhang Cheng woke up. Now he only sleeps for almost 4 or 5 hours a day. Another hour and a half later. Still tiptoeing out of bed. Zhang Cheng, who was still experiencing the sage time, echoed, it will definitely happen. Even so, with the super physical attribute bonus, Zhang Cheng's body is still much healthier and stronger than 99.999% of people. Su Yao put her legs on the wall and maintained a posture. Lu Mengli has experienced Zhang Cheng's auxiliary treatment during this period, and her health is much better now. As for why? Tell me, can it happen this time? And there is an inexplicable clicking sound. What a tough guy. Zhang Cheng comes every day and never misses a day. Since that time. Come to the hospital. When Lu Mengli saw Zhang Cheng, a beautiful smile instantly bloomed on her perfect face. Zhang Cheng did not wake up Su Yao, who was still sleeping soundly. Zhang Cheng fought too late last night. Because you come here at this time every day and are used to it. Seeing Lu Mengli, who had woken up and was playing with her mobile phone, Zhang Cheng smiled and said, why did you wake up so early today? Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 328. In short, Lu Mengli has been completely cultivated by Zhang Cheng into a person who remembers her husband every day. In her consciousness, Zhang Cheng has now become an indispensable and irreplaceable person in her life. Zhang Cheng looked at her and sighed silently. It was because of their feelings for him that he was reluctant to end it all. If this is a dream, what should happen? Now he can't bear to wake up. Even in reality, he is still an outstanding young entrepreneur with a net worth of over 100 million. After Zhang Cheng sat down, he stretched out his hand and held Lu Mengli's delicate little hand. After this period of recovery, Lu Mengli could barely use her hands. Just get used to it. After you are discharged from the hospital, you have to learn the skills of cooking and taking care of the house. Zhang Cheng kissed her hand and said with a smile. Lu Mengli raised her eyebrows slightly, and then said, but I know all these things. Zhang Cheng was a little surprised. What's wrong? I'm a girl who has been abroad. Isn't it normal to have these skills? Lu Mengli looked a little annoyed at his reaction. I didn't hire a nanny over there, so I learned the basic life skills myself. When she heard Zhang Cheng's surprised tone, she suddenly became unhappy. Do you think, in your eyes, I am just a rich girl with clothes to wear and food to eat? Ah ha ha ha, so embarrassing, Zhang Cheng laughed. Awkward? No. I was just surprised. Lu Mengli looked at the way he said he was embarrassed, but actually wasn't, and curled her lips slightly. When do you think I can enter the recovery period? Lying here, I feel like my whole body is going to waste, Lu Mengli said slightly. Zhang Cheng smiled and said, it's almost time. In half a month, when the injury on your leg is better, I will take you back to recuperate. Because traditional Chinese medicine does not have a very fast effect on such large-scale injuries. Only by relying on Western medicine to bring most of the injuries to a controllable level, and then using Chinese medicine to treat her, can she recover faster. Then where are you taking me back? At this time, Lu Mengli suddenly asked. After saying that, he blinked and looked at Zhang Cheng's handsome face that women couldn't take away after just one look. Of course I will take you back to my house. Zhang Cheng didn't hesitate and answered her immediately the moment she asked this question. Sure enough, when he finished saying this, Lu Mengli nodded with satisfaction. That's pretty much it. I said I would support you for the rest of my life, how could I forget? Zhang Cheng touched her hand with a gentle tone. How could I possibly let you know the clues? As soon as the sentence was asked, Zhang Cheng's brain immediately knew what the right thing to say was, and how quickly he should answer to satisfy her. But, no matter who has to rely on you to support him for the rest of his life, I can make money on my own. Lu Mengli felt sweet in her heart when she listened to Zhang Cheng's nonsense. Lu Mengli nodded, yeah. You said you want to hand over the company to me. If Zhang Cheng hesitates, the result may not be certain. Cherish the people around you, maybe inadvertently, they will really grow old. I can't let you run away. Zhang Cheng said seriously, you studied management in America, right? So I have been keeping up with them on and off during this period, and I don't have time to write. I'm sorry to the readers. Lu Mengli was both looking forward to it and a little scared. Yes, my princess is the best at making money. Zhang Cheng also laughed in agreement. It's hard to find someone like you who can work for free. Suddenly, Zhang Cheng's heart moved. Looking forward to being able to manage such a large company. On the one hand, I am afraid of screwing up Zhang Cheng's company. She can definitely take the position of president of New Energy. Zhang Cheng was a little dumbfounded. In addition, I wish everyone a happy New Year's Eve tomorrow. But I just graduated. How can I manage such a big company? That's right, what kind of talent are you looking for the position of president? Sure enough, fish farming requires vision and reflexes. I'll have another day off tomorrow, and I'll resume the 5th update starting from the first day of the new year. Thank you to all the readers who can still see here, thank you. Then he asked, Mengli, I want to ask you something. Only now did Zhang Cheng remember that Lu Mengli not only helped Ye Yu manage his so-called company in the later stages of the play. What's up? Zhang Cheng held her face, looked at Lu Mengli who was still confused, and said seriously, I'm serious, when you recover from your injury, you will be the president of this new energy company. Isn't Lu Mengli a management major there? P.S. Ha ha ha, I haven't disappeared. I have been shopping with my family to buy New Year's goods during this period. I haven't been home for a long time. I feel that the changes have been great. My parents have a lot more white hair and their smiles are a bit older. Lu Mengli's beautiful eyes, from curiosity and confusion at the beginning, gradually turned into shock and disbelief. Thank you for having you here. If you are not careful, you will be trapped. Even the spicy chicken company founded by Ye Yu was supported by Lu Mengli. Confirmed, Zhang Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. I had almost forgotten Lu Mengli's setting. I knew how to conquer her during this period of time, and I completely forgot what her character was in the novel. After coming back to his senses, Zhang Chen looked into Lu Mengli's eyes and asked, "Mengli, if I say that I will hand over my position as president of the new energy company to you, will you agree?" Even with his unlimited capital injection, there is no doubt about Lu Mengli's ability to manage such a large group. But he still wouldn't respond. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 329. A beautiful face was held by him like this. After being looked at by him for a long time, Lu Mengli's face was gradually taken over by a blush, and the roots of her neck turned red in an instant. Meet his gaze. Lu Mengli slowly looked away and whispered, "Then, let me try. If I can't do it, don't blame me." "How can I bear to blame you, fool?" Zhang Cheng smiled brightly. "It's done. As for blame, that doesn't exist at all. A company full of unlimited business opportunities. No matter what, as long as it is not seeking death, this company will not have any problems for at least decades, or even hundreds of years." This is his confidence. When Lu Mengli heard his gentle words, a smile appeared on her face. At least Zhang Chen, his first love, was very kind to him. She is now starting to look forward to the future. If it was before, Lu Mengli has never thought about what her future will be like after she is 40 years old. She only feels that there is a fog covering the future. And she also felt that what was she doing living for so long? It is enough to live to be 40. At least that was her mentality before. Now, Lu Mengli only felt that the fog blocking her future had been torn apart by a pair of big hands. Let Lu Mengli see the look of expectation. It was a scene where she used to walk on the road and see the gray-haired old people supporting each other and walking on the road in harmony. It was something that she had previously felt was out of reach. Because she feels that few men are good. In the ward, Lu Mengli leaned against Zhang Chen, closed her eyes slightly, and quietly felt the unique masculine aura from Zhang Chen. The smell of him made her feel at ease. Zhang Chen stayed in the hospital until 12 o'clock. This was the first time he had stayed so long in this period of time. It was also because Lu Mengli could now move her body a little. "Zhang Chen can rub it?" After coming out of the hospital, Zhang Chen went straight to the private restaurant he used to go to. Entering the restaurant, Zhang Chen came to the familiar box. As soon as they entered the door, Lu Feng and Qin Ming were already sitting there and continuing to watch the live broadcast. Not surprisingly, these two people were screening the beautiful anchors who should have in-depth communication with them next. Laughter came from the two of them from time to time. Until Zhang Chen walked in, the two of them heard the noise, put away their mobile phones as if nothing had happened, and looked at the door. "Okay, stop pretending, I have something for you to do during this time." Zhang Chen walked in, casually opened a seat and sat down, and said calmly. The two looked at each other and asked, "What's going on?" They couldn't see through Zhang Chen's actions during this period. Every day, besides eating and waiting to die, he was still eating and waiting to die. "Invite Yu out to meet," Zhang Chen's words made the two of them confused. "I was dismissive of him before, but now I want to meet him again." "You must have your share of money. Bother you for something?" Because Zhang Chen has already arranged all the work they can do. After getting Yu, Zhang Chen could get what he wanted and strike first. "Well, you call now and ask him to come over here. P.S. There are 2 more updates tonight. I haven't coded for a long time. I'll clear my mind and resume the 5th update later. Hey, please give me a gift and please update me." Lu Feng couldn't help but ask, "Brother Chen, what is it for this time?" Zhang Chen crossed his fingers and placed them on the table. Lu Feng is also used to it, and he can safely assume his role as his tool. If we invite Ye Yu out, this matter will be easier to handle. It's nothing, it's just that Ye Yu has touched my bottom line and it's time to talk to him. At least now, he has relied on his bastard characteristics to follow Zhang Cheng closely and has a net worth of hundreds of billions. Staring deeply ahead, Qin Ming took a sip of herbal tea and said thoughtfully, as for how he got the shares of my company, I also want to ask him. No longer as submissive as before. Ye Yu. At least he had been with Zhang Cheng for a long time. Zhang Cheng has no intention of continuing to play anymore, Zhang Cheng is tired of it. At that time, no matter what country you are, if you want to use your own power, you have to think carefully. At least Zhang Cheng cured his Hualiu. As far as I know, Ye Yu now also owns shares in my company. It is not difficult for me to ask him out on the grounds of buying back his shares. Now when Lu Feng saw his old man, he held his head high and his chest high. After being quiet for a while, Zhang Cheng is coming back to cause trouble again. If there was no intersection of interests, Zhang Cheng would not be able to meet them. The old man was pressed to the ground and rubbed by him. Qin Ming also looked at Zhang Cheng. He had spent the shortest time with Zhang Cheng, but that didn't stop his guess about Zhang Cheng from being correct. Based on his intuition, Lu Feng felt that Zhang Cheng's appointment with Ye Yu this time might not be too simple. Zhang Cheng said quietly, let's ask clearly in person. What are you doing? Know his character. After hearing Zhang Cheng's answer, Qin Ming immediately replied. New energy technology also has some secret methods of its own. Once it causes a new disturbance again, Zhang Cheng will not think that foreign forces will just sit back and wait for death, and will definitely take action. Based on this alone, Qin Ming believed that Zhang Cheng would definitely make another big move. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 330. Qin Ming nodded. Then in front of the two of them, he picked up his phone, opened Weixin, and found Ye Yu's contact information. As a social butterfly. Of course, Qin Ming would have everyone's prestige in the beginning. Of course, this is also related to his identity. After all, his family has always been in the official career. It was an accident only for him. Inexplicably, he likes to do business, but he also inherited his father's genes and knows how to maintain social relationships and add support to himself. So in Shanghai, he knows all the powerful people in the upper class. Qin Ming joined Ye Yu as soon as he started to show off and used money to break open the legs of a female anchor under his banner. After all, you can spend tens of millions in one day, and you can spend so much every day for a week. The identity is definitely not too ordinary. Even if he has a net worth of tens of billions, he would not dare to spend money like this. Therefore, he immediately obtained Ye Yu's contact information through the backend and joined a group of emperors. Bai Fei is also among them. But after that, Bai Fei and Ye Yu got closer. Because the first time Qin Ming got to know Ye Yu, he had an inexplicable feeling of estrangement towards him. Get through his prestige phone number. Not long after, Ye Yu answered. Hello. Hearing Ye Yu's voice, Qin Ming changed his face from expressionless to a smiling face, and said in a hearty voice, Master Ye. Master Qin? Is something wrong? Hearing Qin Ming's voice, Ye Yu cheered up a little. Although he is a little disgusted with Qin Ming, after all, he is the second in command of the Magic City. And if nothing unexpected happens, he will have to be transferred to the Central Power Center after a while. By then, Qin Ming's status will also increase with his father's transfer. Ye Yu naturally didn't dare to neglect. Master Ye, are you free now? Come and sit at Tianchu private restaurant. Qin Ming didn't mean to chat with him, and said straight to the point. Ye Yu frowned when he saw Qin Ming inviting him to sit on the sofa in the villa and enjoying the beauty in his arms. Are you not very familiar with him? What does this sudden invitation to myself mean? Yayu was a little confused. It wasn't that he didn't want to go. If it had been anyone else, Yayu would have agreed immediately. But for Qin Ming, his status as the son of destiny and his natural dislike of villains prevented him from meeting him. But then I thought about it, I haven't met Qin Ming many times, so how could I be so wary of him? Master Qin asked me to come over to discuss something? I have to take a look. Yayu pondered for a moment and replied. It's hard to say no. If it weren't for my well-established identity as a mysterious family, you, the arrogant and domineering rich second generation, would be able to talk so nicely. It's just that it's a little faster. Not real. And why is it? Because of this damn share. And Yayuran is also handsome. I would like to ask Mr. Ye to come out and sit down and talk about whether you are willing to take action. Qin Ming glanced at Zhang Cheng. He also heard Yayu's wariness about him, and immediately used the rhetoric as he said before. After understanding the purpose of Qin Ming's appointment with him, Yayu had no hesitation. A lot of things about myself are just pretending. After all, I am still a fledgling person. Yayu was indeed not an ordinary person. Such a young man would come to ask him personally if he was free to eat. He is really becoming more and more speechless about the things the system rewards. Can't he be rewarded with something practical? Haha, it's not a big deal. I just saw Mr. Ye suddenly acquire the shares of one of my companies. These shares must be awarded. Young Master Qin was joking. Young Master Qin sent me the location. I'll go there now. Even sweeping the couch to welcome him, few of these rich second generations have good intentions. He directly agreed to his invitation. Hang up the phone. Oh, so that's what happened. Okay, I'll go over now. Mr. Qin will wait for me for a while. This once again confirmed the two of them to rely on Yayu. The two of them were lying on the side listening to the conversation between them. After all, Qin Ming also has an old man who is the second in command in the Magic City. The old man at home is a top boss who has retired from the central government. This face cannot be slapped casually. Okay, then I will sweep the couch to greet you and wait for young Master Ye to arrive. Qin Ming joked with a smile. Yeah, you didn't think Qin Ming would call him now, he would have done it for him directly. This is a super top young man. It's okay for some small companies. If you take the shares of a top-level young man like Qin Ming, if you don't have the strength, you're looking for death. After listening, you suddenly realized. Even if it is small, it will be fine in the dark. As long as I can live the kind of life I long for, I can tolerate these things. You pulled Sujia and Wang Meng up in his arms and asked them to take off their clothes. Go and take off my clothes, and then follow me to meet someone. You sneered. If I hadn't shaped my image well before. Qin Ming. Hold you tight, you will definitely be able to live the life you want. The second daughter said excitedly, okay Master Ye, brother Ye, dot.